So we had a very fun and interesting matchup when the Vikings went ahead to play the Denver Broncos. I thought it was very fun as a neutral fan. It was probably very frustrating at times for both Denver Broncos and Minnesota Vikings fans, but as a neutral fan, it was a lot of fun to watch. Minnesota trailed at one point by 20 points, but they were able to come all the way back to take a 27-23 lead, largely in part by Kirk Cousins having himself a very good day, especially in the second half. Even without a consistent running game, he still ended up with a final line of 29 for 35 for 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So the line kind of speaks for itself right there. He had himself a day. But in my opinion, the most interesting part wasn't Minnesota being able to come back and score points in that second half. Actually, the most exciting part was that final drive when the Broncos were trying to come back and see if they could retake the lead after falling behind 27-23. And they had some clutch plays. Like on this one, this is a 4th down and 6. So obviously key situation here. If the Broncos don't get the first down, it's ball game over. They only have 1 timeout left. So yes, if they use their timeout, they would get the ball with like 20 seconds left in their own territory. But pretty much this is the game right here. It's going to be man coverage, and really the key matchup that Allen is going to like here is going to be Tim Patrick right over there. That's the matchup that he likes because, A, that's the route that he's running, which is a pretty solid route against this type of coverage, and B, Tim Patrick is 6'4", so in a man situation, he just trusts that Patrick can make a play, and for a good reason. However, after the ball is snapped, if you notice, there isn't a ton of separation here. Maybe there's a little bit of separation, but it is far from a ton of separation. Vikings corner Mike Hughes is doing a pretty solid job, but at the same time, for Brandon Allen, you have no choice here. You have to make this throw now. You can't sit around and wait. The more you hesitate, the less likely you are to being able to convert these plays. Sometimes you will see somebody on a clutch play hesitate a little bit, especially in college. You see that pretty frequently. However, for Allen, there's no hesitation. You gotta try to throw it to Patrick. That's what he does, and Patrick's able to make the grab and get the first down. Just a great play by both of them, really, by Allen and by Patrick. And, even Hughes, he did his part on that one. In those situations, usually it's a good idea to just force your opposing team to have to make a great play. That's what Hughes did, but it just so happened that Denver made a great play on that one. On their next 2 plays, they gained a total of 5 yards, which set up a 3rd down and 5, and this situation was actually a very interesting one, where it's 3rd down and 5, and for Minnesota, they're going to be in cover 0 here, which of course means 6-man rush to passer, the other 5 just play man coverage. And for Denver, once again, the guy they're going to look to throw to is going to be Tim Patrick, because he's running that route right there, but what's actually very key here is the fact that since it's a cover 0, and since Denver's in 5 wide, this now means that there's going to be 6 Vikings rushing to passer, but only 5 Denver Broncos blocking for Allen. So Allen's going to have to get rid of this ball pretty much instantly. But that's going to be no problem, as you see right when this ball is snapped. If you look, just look at how open Patrick is. Trey Waynes on this one just isn't playing close enough to where he can actually knock this ball away. So I would say that's not a great situation. Admittedly, they're trying to protect the first down marker. They're kind of okay with a pass getting caught in between, but now, if Waynes is going to play this far off, he's going to have to come in and make a quick tackle to force a 4th down situation. That's what he's going to have to do. But that is going to be exactly what he does. He makes a great tackle. It actually kind of looked like he got the first down, but I don't think he did. I think just the way Patrick caught the ball, again, as we all know, the ball has to be past the first down marker, not Patrick. And so even though a good portion of his own body was past the first down marker, I actually don't think he ever got the ball over. So I could be wrong about that. I didn't really see any angle that was definitive, but to me, that's what it looked like. I thought it was the right call. But anyways, after Denver lets about 25 seconds run off the clock and then called their timeout, which is just horrific clock management, so Minnesota got a break there, but now there's the all-important 4th down and 1. And Denver is going to have, actually, I think, the perfect play call. I actually love this play call that Denver is going to do. What they're going to do is, it's just going to be a quarterback run where Allen is going to fake a handoff and then keep it himself and run up to the top half of the screen. And for Denver, they're thinking touchdown here. They're not thinking, let's just get the first down. They want to win the game on this play, and that's what they're trying to do. So they're going to have their tight end and their receiver on the top half of the screen, run out to block those 2 Vikings, which means that Viking is completely unblocked, but they're okay with that because as long as he gets fooled and thinks that it's going to be a handoff, this now means that Allen could run up to the top half of the screen and get into the end zone for a touchdown. That's a possibility. And so after the ball is snapped, if you look right now, that's really when Allen wants to get up to the top half of the screen, and Andrew Sendejo, he's the guy who could potentially run up and try to make a tackle. Now, granted, Sendejo doesn't make the tackle, but he's able to disrupt Allen enough that other Vikings are able to make a tackle, and it didn't stop the first down, but it did at least stop the fact that there could have been a potential touchdown. Again, we got some, in my opinion, poor clock management where the Denver Broncos, instead of spiking the ball, tried to run a play, which I just don't really agree, and then we also got Minnesota Vikings then calling a timeout for some reason. Both of those decisions I didn't fully understand. Because for Denver, they could have been in a situation where they only got 1 or 2 shots if the Vikings didn't call their timeout. Minnesota wanted to make sure they had the right defense, and in fairness, it did work for Minnesota, so I guess I won't criticize them too much. But if I'm Denver, I'm just spiking it there, because then you get 3 opportunities, and you get to think out each of your plays beforehand instead of having to hurry up and just call a play. But anyways, what Denver is going to do here is it's going to be a one-on-one matchup. This matchup is going to be Patrick versus Trey Waynes. So this is definitely a size advantage for the Denver Broncos. Patrick is 6'4", Trey Waynes is just 6 feet. So there's definitely that size advantage. And so they're going to say, hey, this is the type of situation that we wanted. That's the route he's running, which is a pretty good high reward, low risk type situation. So let's take a shot here. And after the ball is snapped, and even after the ball is thrown, if you look, Wayne still doesn't have his head turned around. He still hasn't looked over to be in position to actually try to make a play on this ball. But watch how at the last second, he is able to get his arm up, knock it away, and not allow him to get a touchdown. That's just a great play in a tough situation against a guy who's much bigger and stronger than you, but he was still able to find a way to knock the ball away. So now it's going to be second down, which actually matters less than the time because there's only 6 seconds left, so they're not going to be able to run 3 more plays in 6 seconds. So really, the 6 seconds left is key here. Once again, it is going to be man coverage, so all one-on-one matchups, or at least mostly all one-on-one matchups. But what will definitely be a one-on-one matchup is going to now be Noah Fant right there. That's his route, and he's going up against Curse, who this time there is not a size advantage. Both guys are 6'4", so they're big guys, but at the same time, Fant has a little bit more weight on him, so they like the matchup, and they also just like the route Fant is running in a one-on-one situation to win the game, so they're going to try to see if they can get the ball to Fant. Allen takes a step back and throws one up in Fant's direction, but it is incomplete, largely due to some contact, but at the same time, in those situations, they just don't tend to call penalties too often, so kind of a high IQ play there by Curse in a sense of just create some contact, but not enough to draw a flag. That's what he did there. Just in end zone situations, they tend to not throw flags, especially late in the game, and so that's kind of just why he created some contact, and he just made sure he didn't do anything egregious enough that it would have to be a flag. And you could argue a very similar thing would happen on this next play where they're going to just keep going back to the well. They're going to go to Noah Fant one more time. It's now at the 4-yard line. Once again, it's going to be Fant and Curse, one-on-one against each other. Fant's just running that route. And after the ball is snapped, as you notice, once again, not a ton of separation, but once again, now the defensive back has his back turned. So this is kind of a situation that Allen likes. And again, Allen just has to make a quick decision. He can't wait around. He has to make a decision in an instant, so good job for him for doing that. You're going to see a little bit of contact, but at the end of the day, the ball falls incomplete. Looked like Fant actually initiated that contact, so I totally agree with the no call. Curse did his job. He didn't allow much separation, and again, he put the Denver Broncos in a situation where they had to make a great play, and they just were not able to make a great play on that one, so that's why the Minnesota Vikings were able to hang on and get the victory. Definitely a wild one, definitely a crazy finish, but I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I thought that the Minnesota Vikings played very well and proved that even when things don't go perfectly, they can find a way to win. In the first half of this game, it was starting to feel very reminiscent of the Bills game last year, where they were supposed to blow out the Bills, and instead the Bills blew them out. But I keep having this feeling that this Minnesota Vikings team, for whatever reason, is just a different team than the Minnesota Vikings team of last year, even though pretty much all the pieces are still there. And it was very impressive to see that even when things don't necessarily go the way they wanted it to, they're still able to find a way to pull out victory from the jaws of defeat. There's plenty of teams that are great in the NFC, but you know what? Without a doubt, the Vikings are one of those teams in my opinion.